What's up, Fomo fam? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. And today I'm going to show you something very interesting. It's not my discoveration. I'm Dutch, doesn't matter. It's from Benjamin Cohen. So big shout out to him. He's a great analyst. He's good at the macros. He's good at the on-chain. He's good at the technicals. I love watching his stuff. And he said something this week and showed something that a lot of you might not have seen. Not everybody maybe watches his videos, so I would like to share it on my channel as well. And what that could mean for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin might be, you know, far from its all-time high, but also it might be that Bitcoin is sitting at the same level right now as it is in 2017. And that sounds a little weird, I know, but I'm going to show you anyway. So, you know, it might shock or surprise you a little bit. So let me pull up my chart to actually show you what's up with that. Here's my trading view. And if we look at Bitcoin dollar, right, then you'll see that, you know, Bitcoin is going down against the dollar, right? So we all know that. If you don't know that, you know, look at your portfolio and you're like, oh, I'm broke, right? So that's what's happening. Although I find it pretty interesting to see that Bitcoin, you know, broke out of this trend line that it's been in since it topped out last year in November, right? So we've been in this area for around a year almost, and we now broke out, and instead of using it as, you know, resistance, it's now a support. So that's very interesting. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin goes all the way up, but the trend has changed, right? Also, yeah, we could argue that this will be a very interesting date here when this support crosses this previous resistance, which is now support. Should be around the 15th of October, so tomorrow. And if we get there, like we could stay here or higher, I don't know. But if we get there and we bounce from here, then I think it is pretty safe to say that Bitcoin for now is on very strong support. Also, every time we get to these low levels, you know, the volume is really coming in. So the bulls, you know, they don't want Bitcoin under this $18,500, right? If we look, and now here comes the funny part, and this is some perspective, right? Because if we look, like, if I would have asked you, like, okay, we have Bitcoin sitting at around 19,000 now. When was the last time, you know, the big area where that happened? You will be like, well, Bitcoin is basically sitting at the same level as we are in 2020, right? And that might be the case. And you could say, like, well, Bitcoin is sitting in this area right here where it hasn't been for a very long time. Although, you have to keep in consideration that the dollar now, and the amount of dollars now that's in circulation, and how much a dollar is actually worth, right? It's very different than what it was here and then it was here. So this is quite funny. Is Bitcoin actually that cheap? And isn't it possible for Bitcoin to go up way higher and faster, maybe, you know, than we think? Yeah, that could be the case. Because I'm going to show you a chart. And that's the Bitcoin. And again, it's not from me. It's from Benjamin Cohen. But I try to, you know, just spread the word about that. I'm going to show you a chart that puts some stuff in perspective. So that's the Bitcoin USD chart, the M1 chart. And what is the M1 chart? I had it right here. M1 is basically the money that is now in circulation, which is way more liquid instead of the M2. So that's the money in circulation without any loans, without any savings. It's money that's right here, right now. Money we can use right now. So that's the actual money, basically, right? If we look at that chart, This is what Bitcoin has been doing, right? And that's pretty interesting. Because if you look at this, it has been sitting right like where it is in 2017, and it made a all-time high at the end of 2017. Bitcoin made an all-time high. Since then, Bitcoin hasn't made an all-time high yet. If we look at this, this is the all-time high. So here, your Bitcoin was worth more than here, basically. It's kind of funny. Now, if we look at this chart again, what do you see? You see that, it's sitting on very tight, well, almost at a very tight support, right? We had a lot of resistance here. We had support here. We had support here. We had support here. We had support here. And now it's hovering a little bit above that support, right? And also, this is the resistance in that channel, right? So this is actually what Bitcoin, how it's moving, right? So it's quite funny that if you look at the Bitcoin USDT chart or whatever, you'll see a completely different chart. But if you then counter in the fact that USD is something else now than what it was a couple of years ago, then you get this chart, right? Then you feel like, whoa, this is a completely different chart to look at. And this, I thought when I saw that video from him, I felt like, wow, this is a way to look at it, right? And I don't know, do whatever you want, but this is a pretty interesting way to look at it. So, if you take a look at that, like I said, Bitcoin made an all-time high in 2017, but it never went higher. It went in March, April 2021, right, where we had the rally for Bitcoin. Let me pull up this chart right here so I can show you. Well, here it is. Don't mind the stuff going on my screen, by the way. Here we go. So if you look at, that was here, right? Bitcoin had its rally, came down, and it had a slightly higher rally at the end of 2021, where the all-time high was made. If you look at this, it was just a double top, a perfect double top. And then it came down. But the funny thing is, it's working in this range right here. And that gives me a little hope, right? Because if it's ranging the last 5 years, here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. What's very understandable to think that's going to happen right now, up. Let's say it does go up just to this range. It doesn't break out of this range. It doesn't break down to the downside of this range. It just does what it does for the last 5 years, right? What's that move, right? If that happens from where we are right now, and we go to that range again, which is very, well, if you look at this range, it's pretty likely. It's a 268% move for Bitcoin. If we put now a 268% move for Bitcoin from where we are right now, 268. Well, that puts Bitcoin back at around $70,000 again, right? So that's quite interesting to look at it like that. That it's just ranging, and if it just stays in its range, then we just go back to our all-time high, right? We don't have to do any crazy stuff for that. Now, what's also possible is also what Benjamin said in his video, that this right here is also a support point, right? This was the COVID crash in May 2020. Also here it was support. So it's also likely that we break out of this range to the downside and find support around here, right? So what's that for a move down? Well, that move down is around 43%, right? If we now go to the Bitcoin chart, and if we go down 43%, and don't get too scared of it, but that would put Bitcoin at around 10.5K, right? And it's maybe no coincidence that that is a very big support level, right? 10.5K. That's, well, basically the support level, What? We have a lot of stuff going on here, here. Like that's the level that the bears are aiming for. Yeah, everybody says 10K. Of course, you could have a wick, but you know it's not exactly 10K. It's slightly above. But that's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting, right? So, in my opinion, we could see that as well because this is not a crazy level. So, and the funny thing is that, you know, if people say like, if Bitcoin goes back to its all-time high, it will be $70,000. Well, that's not exactly true. If Bitcoin goes back to its all-time high, this was the all-time high for Bitcoin. Again, the dollar had a total different valuation because it was way more liquid back then. So less liquid. So if we go back to the all-time high from where we are right now, that's a move of 500% for Bitcoin. Right? So if we take it where we are right now and we go back to the all-time high, it would mean, shit, that my chart isn't doing it right. But I think you saw where it was going, right? And it's not hard because we're basically sitting at 220K. So that would mean it put Bitcoin well over $100,000. $100,000 is, yeah, it's technically a new all-time high, but we have been there already. We already been there. We've been there right here in 2017. If we just go back to where we were in 2017, now in this time, it would put Bitcoin at $110,000, right? So it's not crazy to think that that's going to happen. But on the other hand, it's not easy to happen, right? Because we went there again in 2017, but ever since we got slapped down, we tried to get up, get slapped down, try to get back up, slap down, try to get back up, slap down. What's likely to happen? Maybe we wick out to this 10K indeed, and eventually we will try to get back up, right? If it does happens, yeah, then I see no reason for it to go to that 100K. So it is basically what I'm now kind of expecting if I look at this chart as well. Could we go down to around 10K? Yeah, it's definitely possible that that happens, right? And will that easily happen? No, definitely not. Because we first have to break a very strong support level, which is right, you know, around here. This is a very strong support level. Basically, where we are sitting right now is already very strong. So we first have to break that. I mean, the bears tried to kick us down now for around 4 months. And like I said, the volume is coming in big time every time they try that. And it just doesn't work for them, right? So that 18.5 is a really hard level, right? So we first have to break this. Then we have to break this support level that we are trying to break now for the last 5 years, which happened once in 5 years, right? So that's like already like, I don't think we just go like down. That's another 8% down from where we are right now. So if we take it now, another 8% down, it would put Bitcoin around, well, exactly that 17,500 level where we found previous support. So that's quite, is that coincidence? No, of course not. This is the big support level. This is the June low. So it is also very likely that, you know, if we look at this range, like again, last 5 years, up, down, right? This is a very big resistance level and this very strong support level. This is our range for the last, you know, last run, last cycle, right? So if we found support here, already at that 17.6, you know, could we bounce there and go back up again? Yeah, that's definitely possible. So is the bottom in that case already in? There's a big chance that the bottom is already in, right? There is a very big chance that the bottom is already in. Then again, if it turns out that the bottom is not in and we do go lower, then it is likely that we go to You know, maybe this level right here, maybe this level right here. The 10.5K is big support. Also, if we take a very good look at the chart, and we look at around this 0.74, also a very big level that we are not easily going to break. 7.734. So that's another 20% down from where we are right now. If we have to take a 20% down from where we are right now, then it puts us around, god damn it, cursor. Let me see. Put us around $15,000, right? So 15K. Is that a realistic level for us to think about 15K? Yeah, 15K is like, well, yeah, it's not like that big of a level, but, you know, could be. So when I look at this chart right here, I feel like, is the bottom already in for Bitcoin? It's hard to say. Maybe not, but if it turns out to be, I won't be surprised. It's showing us a lot of signs that the bottom is in. If it's not in, then there is a chance that we, you know, and we have to do some, it's not going easily, but there is a chance we're going to that $10,500. But I don't think it will be easy for the bears, and it won't be in one free fall. Could be that we have a fake out in like an hour or something like that, like blah, and go back up, just liquidate everybody, and get some limit orders filled. So that would be very nice. But it won't be easy for the bears to just go to 10K. We have a lot of trouble on the way. But at the end of the day, this is the range. This is the range right here. And it will definitely surprise me if we do not go back to the top of the range. It would really surprise me, right? And that's at the moment around $70,000. That's the top of the range. That's not a new high, right? It's just what Bitcoin has done once, twice, 3 times, 4 times in the last 4 years. So if we could argue that every year we go to the top of the range again, well, last time we were there was November 2021. Would it be weird to think that, you know, somewhere within the not too distant future we go back? Yeah, I don't know. Now we are in a bear market, right? These weren't bear markets. These weren't like, this was a bear market. This wasn't really a bear market. This wasn't really a bear market. This is a bear market. So it could take a while. I think, you know, no. But we will go back to the top of that range again. So 70K Bitcoin, yeah, it's definitely doable. Once we break that, I think it would be very doable for us, by the way. If you look at this, like, where's this resistance? This is the obviously big resistance, right? We have trouble here, trouble here, trouble here, trouble here. So this would be big resistance, 4.52. Where is that 4.52 from where we are right now? 4.52. Let me take a look, because that's the first target that I have for Bitcoin as soon as we finally break this. So that's 388% to the upside, right? To 388% to the upside. If we calculate that from where we are right now, give or take, 380%, 88, Bitcoin at 90,000. So as soon, for the people that now feel like, wrap it up, all right? As soon as Bitcoin finally goes up, and we finally break that 70K, which is very doable if we look at this chart, which is just a matter of time, basically, right? It's just ranging, so we get back there. As soon as we break that, I think it's pretty much like, it's not one straight candle, of course. We have some trouble on the way, like here. But it's pretty much likely that we go all the way to $90,000, right? If we break that, $120,000 for Bitcoin. So yeah, interesting stuff. I haven't paid much attention to this chart yet. I just saw it. If we look at this, then also pretty interesting that we broke this But this is basically the same as the chart that we have been looking at for a long time. So if we put it on the daily, yeah, put it on the daily as well. We broke out of this range. So could we go sideways and have bigger movements to the upside right now? Yeah, definitely. What could it mean in the short term? Well, if we take a look at the short term at this chart, you know, where we are right now and what would be the first big resistance for this chart, that will definitely be somewhere at 1.25, right? If you look where it all finds resistance and support, 1.25, definitely. So if we finally break to the upside, which could definitely happen, what would, you know, be the first big resistance level for Bitcoin? 1.25. That's around 32% to the upside. 32% to the upside. What is that meaning for us? 32% to the upside. That means around, whoa, that's too much. 32% to the upside. Well, here we go at exactly this 25K where everybody's already talking about, right? So 25K is definitely in the place. Also, 17.6 if we break this support. So it's somewhere in the short term between these two levels, if you ask me. So just wanted to show you that again for the third time. Shout out to Benjamin Cohen. Great analyst. I love his stuff. But keep that in consideration. It's a very interesting chart to take a look at. So now, if we go back to the all-time high, we will be sitting at around 110K with the current money supply. So yeah, definitely something to keep in consideration when to look at crypto, right? Want to wrap it up for here. That's it for now. Have a very nice day, guys. Let me know what you think of it, by the way. Or have you already seen this chart? I haven't before, so yeah, I found it quite cool. That's it. See you tomorrow. Bye.